Imagine a child whose peers were just learning to walk, but he could read a newspaper as big as himself. Imagine a child who, while his friends were just starting school and learning to read and write in their native language, had already mastered 8 languages long before. That child was none other than William James Sidis. In this video we will explore the life and achievements of William Sidis, considered one of the smartest people in history. It is said that he was even smarter than Albert Einstein and Leonardo da Vinci. But how is it that history remembers nothing of this individual? If you're ready, let's begin the story of the smartest person in history. William James Sidis was born in 1898 in New York to a Jewish family who had immigrated from Russia to the United States. Before the age of 2, he could read fluently. On his own, he learned 8 languages, including Latin, Greek, French, Russian, German, Hebrew, Turkish, and Armenian. At just 9 years old, William invented a language called Vendergood, which scientists later reviewed and confirmed as a complete and proper language. He also dabbled in poetry and novels and could mentally calculate the days of any date in the past or future. When those 2 years were up in 1910, he started studying at Harvard University. At the Mathematics Club, William gave shy lectures about 4-dimensional objects, a concept nearly incomprehensible to most people. Sometimes these lectures were accompanied by suppressed childlike movements. After all, despite being a genius, he was still a child. After William's lectures, Daniel Frost Comstock, a professor at MIT, told reporters that William Sidis would be the greatest mathematician of the 20th century. As you know, intelligence is measured using IQ tests, though the validity of these tests is debatable. While a score of 100 is considered average, a score below 70 is generally deemed substandard. An IQ above 130 is considered high. Although many speculations arose over the years about William Sidis's intelligence, his estimated IQ was believed to be between 250 and 300. For comparison, the IQs of some famous individuals, such as Einstein with an IQ of 160, Da Vinci with an IQ of 180, and Isaac Newton with an IQ of 190, have been reverse engineered. As you can see based on these figures, this individual, or rather this child, possessed exceptionally high analytical intelligence. However, leaving all that aside, if we examine another aspect of this story, the family of this child was somewhat fascinating, and even strange, sparking debate. William's parents migrated to New York Harbor in the late 19th century, along with other Jewish refugees, fleeing political and religious persecution. William's father, Boris Sidis, was a prominent psychiatrist known for his groundbreaking contributions. His mother, Sarah, was one of the few women in the United States to earn a medical degree. Despite being recognized as talented scientists, the couple was also infamous for their eccentric behavior. For example, Boris had a therapeutic method he called rest treatment. After becoming a professor of psychiatry, Boris developed theories in hypnosis and group psychology and delivered lectures in these fields. In rest treatment, individuals with psychological disorders were subjected to electrotherapy and confined to bed for months. As you can see, when psychology and science were still in their infancy, most of Boris's activities were experimental and somewhat adventurous. On April 1, 1898, Boris got the opportunity to apply his peculiar psychological theories in a real-life scenario, as his wife Sarah gave birth to a son. Thanks to the teachings of his intelligent yet slightly eccentric parents, William developed extraordinary abilities. When William was only a few months old, Boris and Sarah began their lessons. William's mind absorbed and retained this information at an extraordinary speed. Boris used wooden blocks to teach William the alphabet and employed hypnosis-like techniques to train his brain to recognize letter sounds. William could also identify and repeat the letters on the wooden blocks, a skill equivalent to recognizing symbols by a 4-year-old child, though William had not even turned 1 yet. They believed that curiosity was a trait that should be aggressively nurtured. For this reason, Sarah decided to dedicate her entire life to her son's development and abandoned her medical career. William began reading daily newspapers at the age of 1.5, just like his father. At just 1.5 years old, William was reading newspapers larger than his height. As William approached his 5th birthday, his talents garnered media attention. William had independently learned to use a typewriter and wrote a letter to Macy's to order a toy. He had easily read and finished heavy books such as Basic Anatomy and the works of Homer. His appetite for learning seemed insatiable. During this time, his father wrote a book on better child-rearing methods using William as an example. Sarah, William's mother, also published articles on how to raise genius children, which appeared in popular newspapers. At the age of 6, William started school and completed elementary school within a year and a half, moving on to high school. Subsequently, William's astounding achievements made the front pages of the New York Times. Although Boris and Sarah's pride in their son's success was natural, It was a bit odd that they claimed these accomplishments were the result of their newly invented methods. However, they paid no attention to William's well-being. This situation had a profoundly negative impact on William. His parents' expectations and societal pressure weighed heavily on his shoulders. His ambitious and somewhat unbalanced parents showcased him in lectures, failing to realize they were making a terrible mistake. Such overwhelming pressure and constant attention could even break a grown adult, let alone a child. At his graduation ceremony, William told reporters gathered at the event, "I just want to live a complete life. The only way to have a complete life is to live in isolation. I have always hated crowds." His goal was to create a philosophy of life that excluded sex, art, music, or anything else that could distract him from pursuing pure knowledge. After graduating from Harvard, William briefly taught mathematics at Rice Institute in Houston. However, when it became evident that his age and fame distracted the students, he quit teaching. In his free time, William developed an interest in socialism and communism. In 1919, he was arrested for participating in an anti-war rally that turned into a riot. During his court trial, he emphasized that he did not believe in the great Christian God and had socialist leanings. Thanks to his family's influence, William avoided imprisonment. However, following this incident, he was forced to live in isolation for a year in the family's summer villa in California. Disillusioned with life, William moved to the East Coast to escape the press, his family, and even his talents. He began working low-level jobs such as accounting. Each time his identity was revealed, he would change jobs. He even said, "When I see a mathematical formula, I feel sick. All I want to do is set up a collecting machine, but they won't leave me alone." For example, when a tramway transportation company hired William, hoping he would improve their systems, he broke into tears after seeing the company's project files and statistics. He resigned on the very first day. In 1925, William authored a book titled The Animate and the Inanimate, in which he discussed the existence of black bodies, a thermodynamic concept theorized before it was formally studied. He also conducted research on the influence of a democratic Native American tribe on the policies of the United States founding fathers. William continued to learn new languages, increasing the number of languages he knew. Yet the press pursued him for years, refusing to leave him in peace. Some mocked William for taking on simple jobs, while others criticized him for not using his abilities to be more productive. In 1937, an article in the New York Times exposed William's private life. The article concluded with a remark on his birth, which was supposed to herald a leader in science. His birth was nothing more than an April Fool's joke. William filed a lawsuit against the article, claiming it was defamatory and an invasion of privacy. However, the judge delivered an absurd verdict stating, "Once a person becomes a public figure, they remain a public figure forever." William didn't live long after this. In July 1944, his landlord found him unconscious in his Boston apartment and called the police. William, who was 46 years old, had suffered a massive stroke and never regained consciousness. This was the end of the life of a genius who, at just 11 years old, had astounded mathematics enthusiasts at Harvard. He died as a reclusive and penniless clerical worker. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this video. If you enjoy such content, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and leave your comments below. Thank you.